Hello, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the ESHA Research Food Processor Menu Plan Overview webinar. My name is Ben Miller. I'm joined by our food processor expert, Katie Chambers. We're going to take a look at the menu plan of the food processor today. ESHA Research was established in 1981 as the first comprehensive nutrition analysis software solution. Today, ESHA has a number of applications, services, and databases, including the Genesis suite of software, the food processor that we'll be looking at today, and our consulting services. As I said, today we're looking at the food processor. It was released in 1984, the first software that ESHA ever released, and it's designed for diet and recipe analysis, recipe planning and formulation, client management, fitness tracking, nutrient searching, reporting, menu planning, cookbook creation, and much, much more. The database inside of the food processor is comprised of about 76,000 foods and ingredients sourced from about 1,800 reputable sources, including the USDA, Health Canada, many restaurants, food manufacturers, and more. Tracks over 172 nutritional components, including MyPlate, diabetic exchanges, and is continually updated to maintain accuracy. Please note, as always, today's webinar is being recorded. If you ever want to watch any of our past webinars, you can view those on our website or sign up for future webinars. If you have any questions today, please submit those when you have them. We have people standing by to answer those as Katie will be doing her presentation. So ask your questions, we'll answer them as we go. Today's agenda, we're going to look at some recipe overview, creating a menu plan, editing that menu plan, and then the reports within the menu plan, and do a little bit of Q&A afterwards. With that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Katie, and she'll take a look at the application.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you everyone for joining today. The basic food processor software has the ability to analyze the nutritional content of foods and ingredients, recipes, dietary recalls, and create menu plans that meet a person's specific dietary needs. Many of you have probably been making broad menu plans within a person, but we now have an additional module called the menu planning module that allows you to create menu plans for a generic population. I'm going to start by quickly refreshing you on how to create a recipe, which you can then use to enter into your menu plan. So to create a recipe, go to New and Recipe, and then you will name your recipe. So I'm going to make whipped cream, and I'm going to say this recipe makes 16 servings, but you can also say that a particular weight, and I'm just going to press OK. And this brings me to the main screen where you're going to enter in the foods and ingredients. So my first ingredient that I'm going to look for is sugar. And I press search, and then you can see all of the sugars listed within the database. So there's 396 sugars. So you can be more specific if you're looking for brown sugar, white, brown packed. You can see the different ones. You can even put that in your search box. So I'm going to pick the sugar, white, granulated. You can see the product and supplier over here. So I want to choose the USDA. It does contain more of the micronutrients that some of these manufacturer brands may not contain. So I'm going to press select, and then you will choose your quantity and measure. So you see all of these measures right here. I'm going to do tablespoon, 2, and press OK. You can see that adds it to the main, the screen right here with all of the nutrients. And then my next ingredient I'm going to search for is heavy whipping cream. And press search, and then you can see it pulls up the ingredients again. So I'm just going to choose this one from the USDA, press select, and then again, my quantity and measure. So this is just going to be a basic recipe. If you have more questions about searching a database, you can either ask me, or if you are a support team, we do have many other archived webinars on searching the database and creating a recipe. I'm just going to go through one field in the edit recipe that may be helpful to you. And so this is going to be when you're choosing your recipe, you can add a more common measure. So say if you were creating a smoothie or something like that, you can choose a volume or liquid measure in here, and then you can see all of these pre in here. So I'm just going to say that this is a topping, one topping, and then you can see one serving is 16.57 grams. So that's what I'm going to say that this topping is. So put 16.575 grams, press OK, and then you can see it added another measure. Another thing is that you can associate a cost with the recipe. You can also do this at the ingredient level. And then groups is really important for, it helps limit your search. So you can create your own groups, or you can add it to ones that are already existing. The ones in black are already existing. So I'm gonna just say that this recipe is going to be gluten-free. And then I'm gonna press OK. And then always make sure to save. So I'm gonna save my recipe as whipped cream. And I press save, and now my recipe has been saved successfully. And now I'm going to jump into creating a menu plan. So to create menu plan, go to new, and then if you have not purchased the menu plan, this will be grayed out. So if you are interested, please contact sales and we can give you more information. So I will go to new menu plan, and I'm going to create my menu plan. So I'm going to call this fall school lunch. And then I am going to, you can associate your menu plan with groups. So say you had different locations that you were making menu plans for, you can always add a folder and then associate it with a group. And then this is going to be for the report section. So you can compare. So instead of like when you're creating a person, having to enter in a age, gender, weight, activity level, we have all of these DRIs built in here. So you can just select the DRI, and then in the report section, that's what your menu plan is going to be compared against. We also have a notes field, so you can add any notes that you want to about this menu plan. And then we have an attachments field. So after I save this, you'd allow to look at your file, and if you had all the recipes that were included within this menu plan, you could attach them in. And then I'm going to press OK. And then you'll see a similar screen. So you're going to search the database just like you would be right here. And then you'll see days. So you can add, you can see where you can add 5 days at a time, or you can add single days. I'm just going to add 5 days. And then you'll see right here, all of the days are listed. You can change the name of that day or delete a day by pressing delete or modify. So if I wanted this to actually be day 7, press OK. And then, well, it changed it right here. So you can see the day 7 right here. And so I'm just going to go to day 1, and then I'm going to start searching the database. So I am going to search for orange juice. And I'm going to choose my chilled orange juice from the USDA. Press select, and then again, you'll do quantity and measure, and then you'll choose what meal this belongs in. So breakfast, morning, snack, lunch, afternoon, dinner, and evening. And then this will be a new feature. So we have collections within a menu plan. So you can add it. So since this is a beverage, I'm going to add it to a beverage, but you can also make your own collections if one of the pre-existing you don't want to use, or you want to use a different collection. So I'm going to push this under beverage and press OK. And then you can see it added it to this screen. And one thing to note is another new feature within the menu plan is this adjusted average factor. So this is going to be really useful if you are allowing people to choose this or that, but they're not consuming both items. So for example, if you let people have a choice of orange juice or apple juice, so I'm going to just select this apple juice right here. Do 1 cup, It's a breakfast and a beverage. I'm gonna press OK. Then it looks like in the nutritional totals right here that the person consumed both the orange juice and the apple juice. But you can also put in these adjusted averages. So if you know like 75% of the people choose orange juice or vice versa, then you can put that in. For now, I'm just going to say 50% of the people chose orange juice, and then 50% of the people chose apple juice. And you can see, watch this change. So I'm going to 50%, 50%. So now the totals are going to reflect more of what that population is actually consuming. You can also, so like that recipe I just made, if you've created existing recipes, you can add that within your menu plan. So to do that, press the F7 button and it will pull up all the recipes that you've ever made. So one thing to point out here is that's a lot of recipes to look through. So since I associated my whipped cream with a group, I can search by groups. So I'm going to press more and then search by group. So I'm going to look in this characteristics, and I said it was gluten-free, so I'm going to press OK, search, and it pulled up my whipped cream. And then I press select, and then you can see that measure that I put in that says topping. Then I can select that measure, and then you can choose a category. So I'm going to say that this is desserts, and then press OK. And then it adds it right here. So you can see it will add the recipe. And then if you open it up, you can see the ingredients within that recipe. And now I'm going to open up a menu plan that already exists. I'm going to go to Open Menu Plan. And I created this summer camp menu plan. Press Select. And this is going to be where after you have added all of your days, you can start making cycles. So I just made day 1, day 2, day 3. One thing I'm going to note is if I wanted to add another day, I'm going to add a day. I'm going to shut these out. It will pull up this food pick list. So this is another feature that is really nice within the menu plan. So when you create a menu plan, it saves the ingredients that you have entered into your other days. So instead of having to search the database for that food or ingredient, you can open it up. So I'm looking at breakfast and I can open up my beverages. So I have added these beverages before and my other days, and then now instead of having to look for them in the database, I can simply just double click. So if I want to add milk and I want to add coffee and orange juice, I just double clicked on those days and it added it over here. And then from there you can change the adjusted averages or modify the ingredient if you wanted to change any of the measures by right mouse clicking and then modify item, and then you can change. So if this was actually, say the person had a cup and a half, then you can change the measure and then it will change the item. So you can always change that. And then you can make your cycle. So to create a cycle, you'll click down the cycle and I want to make my cycle 1. Now it will pull up all of the days I've created and then you can start making the cycle. So if I want to do day 1, just double click on day 1 and it will add day 1. You'll see when you open up all of these items, I'm just going to do expand all. You can see all of the items that you've entered into that day 1. And then say I want to add day 2, just double click on the day 3. If I wanted to go back to day 1, but this is actually day 4, double click on day 1, and then you can change the name. So it does say day 1 right here, but you can modify the day, and I just clicked on that, and I want this to read day 4. So I press OK, and then you can see day 1 through 4. If you want to export out this information for people to view, you can right mouse click, export report, and then you can export to clipboard. So you'll see this groups and notes are checked. But if you do check the menu plan cycle, then you can, and to clipboard, you can press save and then open up in Excel and then copy and paste in. So from here, you can quickly see you have your breakfast categories all the way down, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and then you have the ingredients. So 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of orange juice, and so on. And then this you can print or, highlight so it's easier to read. You can kind of do what you want to see what looks best. I guess the most easy for you to read. So I'm going to minimize that. And then this takes me to the report section. So the report section does go by day. So whatever day is listed will be what's listed in the report section. So if I want to look at my report for day 1, this brings up day 1, and then in the reports, I'm going to go to the spreadsheet report. So this is going to be for day 1, and you can see that the day is listed right here. So you can see the nutrition information per meal, and then you can also see for the category or the collections that you chose. So for my breakfast or for my beverages, then here's the nutritional totals at the bottom, and then you'll also see right here is the nutrition information for the whole entire day, and then compared to whatever DRI profile that you listed. We have the multi-column report. So this will show you what was consumed, what was recommended, and then the percent recommendations. And then we have a single nutrient report. So looking at this, it was high in cholesterol. So I'm going to go to this single nutrient report, and I want to look at cholesterol, and then you can open it up. So you can see, I'm just going to open up all of these. Most of the cholesterol was coming from my breakfast. So then when you open up the ingredients, you can see that it was coming from the eggs. So it's a good way of modifying any meal plan to meet needs. And you can choose all of the nutrients if you change what's listed in the report. So you can do that for more than these nutrients. And then right here, we have the bar graph report. So this is going to show what was recommended. And this was from the DRI I chose. And then you can quickly see again what the person consumed, what was recommended, and then their percent recommendation. So if something is really low, like this vitamin D right here, you might want to look if there were any missing values or modified diet, add food, supplement to meet those needs. And if we don't have a report, so say you were interested in a My Plate report, or if you wanted to look at all of the days within your menu plan and get an average for a week, the menu plan can be transferred into the person. So you would just have to create a fake person, and then you can override the recommendations, and then from there you can get additional reports. So to do that, go to File, New, and then Person. And since this menu plan was called Summer Camp, I'm just going to name this person Summer Camp. And then you will have to put in an age, gender, activity level, height, and weight, but that really doesn't matter. I'm I'm just gonna put in some pretend values and might be close. And then you'll see it will create the recommendations, but you can override those recommendations. And then to find those recommendations, you can see that they're actually listed within this report right here. So then you can change the override. So that's 1988. I'm just going to override those recommendations to match the ones that were listed for that DRI. And it asks if you want the calorie dependent nutrients to change. I'm just going to say yes, but you can fill in all these values as shown right here. Just to save time, I'm going to just say yes. And then you can press OK. And so then now in the report section, you'll be able to add the days. So I'm going to go back to my menu plan and I'm going to go to day 1. And I'm just going to collapse all these just for easy, and you can just copy and paste right in. So I'm going to shift up. Oops. And copy, and then go over to my person and paste. And then you can see that it added that day. But one thing I want to note is that there are not adjusted averages within the person. So if you've done adjusted averages, added multiple ingredients, you might want to go ahead and delete them just so then you can get a better idea, because it will look like the person consumed a whole lot more than they actually are because you added in those extra food items. So then from here, you can just delete. So I'm going to delete this one. And then you from there, you can just choose what you think more people may be consumed. And then when you go into the report section, so for here, you can add another day. I'm going to collapse. You can see, you can just copy and paste and start adding multiple days, and then make sure that all of these boxes are checked. And then when you go to the report section, you can get an average. So if you go to the spreadsheet report, you'll see that you'll get all these days and then an average of all of these days if I added them in. And then some additional reports that the person has is if you want a pie graph report of the total source of the calories, so protein, carbs, fat, and alcohol, or the source of calories from fat, we have these pie graphs available, as well as a bar graph report of the same thing. And then we have this My Plate report. So if you needed the My Plate report, it would be listed within the person. So this wraps up the webinar demonstration today. Thank you all for joining, and I'll hand it off to Ben for some Q&A.
That was great, Katie. Thank you so much for all the information. Before we get into the questions, if we don't get to your question or if we weren't able to answer it here, go ahead and follow up with us if you have questions about purchasing the food processor, adding the menu plan module, anything like that. You can contact our sales team, or if you have any questions about using the application or any technical difficulties, you can reach out to our support team. We also have a lot of online resources, our LinkedIn page, our blogs, our e-newsletter, and our website in general has a lot of information overall. So we'll get into the questions here. Question number 1, how do I create a menu collection?
Thank you, Ben. Good question. Let me pull back up the software. Oops. Where'd it go? There we go. So to create menu collections, you are going to go to the database tab and then modify, and then you can see menu collections right here, and then you can add, remove any collection you don't want. just do new and then name your collection and press OK. And then you can close and then it will add it to your collection. So when I do close, go back to my, let's see in here, go back to my menu plan. I have too many reports open. All right, go back to day one. There we go. I am just gonna do orange juice again, search, select, and then you can see that your new collection is listed right here. Oops. And off to you, Ben.
All right, so our second question, which is pretty close to the first one here, how do I create groups inside of the food processor as well?
Good question. So back to the software. To create a group, you're going to go to the same place. So you're going to go to the database tab, modify, groups, and then you can create your group. So you can either create a folder and then I'm going to just do a new folder and then you can do your groups below that. So highlight the folder and then do new and then you can add groups. Press OK and then it'll add groups to the database and you can close it out.
All right, so our next question, how can I cost out my menu plan?
Good question. To cost out a menu plan, you're going to, I recommend doing it at the ingredient level. So to do that, you are going to need to open up the ingredient. So I am right mouse click, open item, and then you can see cost. So this is at the ingredient level. You can go to cost, edit, and then you can do per measure. So if you bought it by the weight, I'm going to say $1 per, let's do 8 ounces. I'm going to press OK. And then you will exit out. I will ask if you want to save the changes. I'm going to say yes. And then this just means that all of the milks I've listed are going to be saved too. And I press yes. And so my ingredients saved successfully. I exit out of my ingredients. And then go back to my menu plan. And then I'm just going to add cost so you can see it on this main screen right here. You'll go to display columns. And then I'm going to check the box cost. So that means it will show it. And this is also where you can change the nutrients shown on this main screen. You can press edit and then you can do the same in the report section. So here's all of the nutritional components our software analyzes. So you can see vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, other nutrients like caffeine, artificial sweeteners, diabetic exchanges, and my plate values. So you can change that, but I'm going to check cost, press OK. And it added my cost right here. And then if I added a cost for all of the ingredients, you get a cost total for the whole entire menu plan.
Perfect, so we have a couple more questions here. Next one is there an additional cost to the menu plan?
Yes, there is an additional cost to the menu plan. If you are interested, please contact sales@esha.com and I can get you a quote to add it.
Great. And our next one, which is in a similar place to the last two questions before that one, how can I delete a person or a menu inside of the food processor?
Great, thank you. I'm just going to jump back to the software, and to add or delete, again, you'll go to the database, delete, and then if you wanted to delete anyone or a recipe, then you'll select, so menu plan, I want to delete one, I'm going to delete this one, delete, and then it will be permanently removed.
Great. Looks like we have time for one more question. And our last question is, what is a DRI?
A DRI is the Dietary Reference Intakes, which are developed by and published by the Institute of Medicine. And the DRIs represent the most current scientific knowledge on nutrient needs of healthy populations and are a good way to plan and assess diet plans.
Perfect. That was all the time we have for today. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Katie, for the great information. And we'll hopefully see you again soon.